BYD has had a bunch of big announcements recently, from everything from they've got free driver assistance in every vehicle. They've got some big sales numbers. They're making ground in new markets like Korea, where they've got the legacy makers like Hyundai back on their heels. And yes, it is a company to watch. They even make jumping cars. I don't need one of those, but that's not really the point. The point is that we need to be taking them seriously and all of the other competition seriously, but really keep an eye on BYD. I'm joined by Mark. We're going to talk about it. We're going to figure out what's going on. And if he is in distress, he will blink twice. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Reminds me of that great Simpsons joke. Blink once for yes and twice for no. So he blinks twice. Yes, yes. No. So, yeah, there's some exciting news. BYD just made self-driving mainstream with free ADAS on a $9,500 car. So almost all their cars now are going to come with the sensor suite, the process, the compute. Why are they doing this? What's BYD's motivation here?
Oh, their motivation is more sales. That's what their motivation is.
That's one. BYD is introducing God's Eye driver assist system in 3 levels. Basic system, C, is equipped with 12 cameras, 12 ultrasonic, and 5mm wave radars, and is available in BYD. So 3 front, 5 panoramic, 4 surrounding, and yeah, all that. The more advanced God's Eye B, a LiDAR sensor, and is intended for higher-end sub-brands like Denza and Fangcheng Bao. Then, of course, you've got God's Eye. Let's see, that'll be powered by Pilot 300 system. Great. But I think the bigger reason they're doing this, one reason is to make it a differentiating factor. But another is, this is how you gather road data.
And they have to start doing that, don't they?
Well,
if you want to be a big player in the game, you need to collect a lot of data.
A lot. And by giving this, they're including it for free. Ain't nothing free, my friend. You're paying for it.
That's right.
You are still paying for it, whether that's
it's your data that's going to them.
But it's not just your data. It's like when you go buy a box of cereal or a shampoo and it says now 33% more for free. It's not free, my friend. You just increase the price, or you cut something else. Nothing's free. Nothing's free. I had a coupon once for free saline solution with some contacts I'd bought, or not free, but like $2 off saline solution. I'm like, that's great. So how much is saline solution? Like $2? And I went to the pharmacy, and that brand is $5. So I'm like, $3. So it's still $3. And the generic brand was $1. So I'm like, okay. So this coupon is worthless. Great.
Actually, right? That coupon cost you an extra $1.
It would. And I was at the store the other day. They printed out a coupon. It said, buy like 7 banquet dinners, get $2 off. I was like, 7? Buy 7? Yeah. This is worthless. But that's Kroger for you. I despise their system of pricing. I've been to Kroger maybe twice a month for 2 years. And on one of those trips, they didn't try to overcharge me. Every other trip, I catch things that they screw up and overcharge. And it cannot be an isolated thing if it happens to me every time. Kroger, sort your stuff out. You're going to get sued into the next world. Hopefully, that is my hope that they will. I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did. BYD is absolutely dominating the Chinese market. Western brands can't keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that BYD has been gaining momentum for quite some time. And they are beating all the other Western brands in sales. And they don't seem to be slowing down. And you can see by this caption here, there's a major reason.
Yes. The Volkswagen, I think, looks nicer, but that's not true of all models. Sometimes the Chinese model looks better. I will say that because they rely on LFP batteries, a BYD is typically heavier than a German or Korean or a Tesla. So they are at a disadvantage in that regard, but LFP batteries are still improving in watt hour per kilogram efficiency, and the cars have good reviews. Not great reviews, good reviews, which for a country new to world scale, manufacturing should concern you. And we know BYD's been hiding some expenses by delaying and deferring payments to suppliers. We know all that. That's not what we're talking about today. So
But
yeah,
you
go
have
ahead.
to be impressed by their incremental increase in the sales of their vehicles. Like they are becoming a powerhouse if they aren't one already. They are getting more and more strengthened as time goes along, and this offering a suite of sensors included in the car price is going to contribute to that to customers' happiness and referrals to friends.
And to their future revenue streams when they have enough data to themselves perfect some version of self-driving. You cannot buy that kind of data. Well, you can, but the price is, well,
Yeah,
staggering. And it's what they're doing. They're going to be gathering data at a rate only seen once in history, and it's by Tesla. So this is worth noting. When we say Tesla isn't just a car company, there are other companies like that. Well, if you look at Volkswagen, they are just a car company. Porsche and Audi, just car sub-brands of the Volkswagen group. But BYD is not just a car company. They are a cell phone battery manufacturer, then a battery manufacturer, now a car maker, but they are vertically integrated. They design their own things, and in many cases, they build their own things. They design their own chips, which is something that is a bit unique among car companies for sure, but
absolutely.
it's really unique. This is a pretty interesting one. Model 3 versus BYD. Which electric family car is best? So we're talking about the looks. Which one do you like the look of better?
I still have to say the Tesla.
I would say, for my taste, I would prefer the Tesla look, but I get it. The BYD, I get it. It looks radical. It looks cool. They put some cool swooshes and swoops in it, and I get it. So I could see why someone would like the look of the BYD more. Now, we won't go through this whole story. I think it's pretty well balanced. They actually, tested and compared them. They actually drove them. What they relied too heavily on is in this chart, don't put claimed range without putting the real world range, because the 436 for the Model 3. No, my friend. That is maybe the WLTP rating
Yep.
or the NEDC rating. Those are not the range you're going to get unless you're going 20 miles an hour. But maybe you do. But even still, by the same scale, the BYD falls woefully short. So it is not ideal. Slower charging on the BYD, but the prices are attractive. They
They
are.
are starting to make waves with this stuff. And you're right, Brian. If people are looking based on financials as to what their financial situation is, buying a vehicle for $6,000 less is going to appeal to many, many people.
Yes, and a base level Chinese car outside of China is still well equipped. It's not like the base level you get in China. When you see in China that, oh yeah, you can get this really nice electric 5-seat SUV for $18,000, it may not include a radio. So got to bear that in mind. US automakers don't really do that as much anymore. How do you think what would your guess be as to what the final score is on an out of 10 scale for these two vehicles?
And I haven't looked at it. I have not looked at it. So my guess would be that on the Tesla out of 10, they should be assigning it a good 8.5. On the
Okay.
BYD, I'm going to say it's lower. I'm going to say it's about a 7 or a 6.5, somewhere there.
Very good guesses. It actually is the BYD scored 7 of 10. The Tesla got the full 10.
Okay.
So those are A perfect 10 surprises me because perfection is impossible, but maybe maybe they're grading on a curve. I can see why a slower car for the same price with shorter range wouldn't get you to the full 10 out of 10. And I think the long-term ownership experience in a Tesla may be more certain than in a BYD. Nothing against the BYD. So that means it is that time, Mark. You know what time it is.
Ah, yes. It's time for the pictures.
It's just this one. We just do one picture on this video, but that is what I look like. And you know what? I'm gonna sit on my thumb here and do that. No jingle, no watchy. That's my new motto.
Wow. There's someone that is really steadfast on the jingle.
Rob is a longtime commenter. So yeah, that's great. Now this doesn't help me much, but Frankenstein von Zipperneck says true. My Revivifier's 25 Equinox shows energy usage at -3C. 12% is for heating, 25% at -15. Solution, move to Portugal.
Not an option for most of us.
Well, get better options. I don't know what to tell you, man. We're goal oriented. We're looking for solutions here. Doesn't fuel injecting compensate for temperature, altitude, etc.? Or am I thinking of supercharging? So do you know the answer to that one? Why is it that a gas engine is less efficient in the cold?
Is it something about the state of the air when you're
That
trying
is
to mix
one
it
reason.
with fuel?
So it is not. The fuel injector should compensate for that. You do have denser air, which increases wind resistance, but that should not, it should not affect your fuel injector. Your fuel injector should compensate. What the real reason is, you have to warm up the engine for it to run at optimal efficiency. And there's only one way to do that. You can't preheat a gas engine to have the entire block warm. You can have it warm enough to not freeze the diesel in it or the gasoline if you're somewhere really extreme. But it is, it is the warming up the engine, getting all of the lubricant to a nice viscous state where it can actually flow properly instead of providing additional resistance. Interesting, right?
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
The block heater doesn't get it to optimal temperature. The block heater just
No.
gets it to minimal temperature that it will not,
Yes.
freeze on you.
Yes, that is my understanding as well. And one person, I loved it so much I said I would have to repeat it, said, the thing I like about my Tesla is if I wish to leave at 80%, I preheat the car before I go outside. So I'm warming the cabin on shore power.
That's right, shore power. Yep.
Yeah, I get it. It's perfect. I love it. What happens when there's an extended electrical power outage?
Well, when that happens, you can't have electricity. That's the basic that's the basic premise. If there is no electricity, then guess what? Your car is going to have to do with whatever you had put into it previous to the outage.
Right? When you're at home, I assume you're plugged in.
I am.
The only time I don't plug in is if I'm going to be leaving in a few hours and I've got plenty already. And then I'll just deal with it when I get home. But what do you do if the gas station near you has a power outage? Because a generator is not going to run those pumps. Those pumps require quite a bit of juice to pump fuel from well below the ground into your tank at a high rate of speed. So, or what do you do if your gas station is out of order? You go to the next gas station. So my answer to the question is, what do you do if you get one of those ice storms that takes down lines all over town and it's going to take a week or two to get everybody back up and running? Go to a supercharger. Go to any public charger. Go to your friend's house. Visit. So all those things. What do you do when the power's out? Whatever it is you do.
I typically find that, the power will go out maybe once or twice a year in my region. Okay. And if that's the case, and I really do need a charge, I take your advice, Brian. I visit a friend or I will visit a relative that will let me charge there because they're not being affected.
Now you said friend. What does that mean? I don't have any of those. I'll tell you, I'm 50 now, and I can comfortably say I have more friends now than I have at any point in my adult life, and I thank you all for that, because to me, the definition of a friend in this context is if they ask me for a favor would I be there? The answer for many, many people is yes. And would they be there for me? The answer is yes. So there you go.
Lots of
And
fans.
yeah, yeah. And then I get to meet these people in real life, like this Jack.
Just lost another one.
Just lost another one. Well, Mark will not be back next week. Why not raise the range to 500 miles? At 80%, that's 400 miles. That would take a lot of traffic off the superchargers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But there is a question of financials. You get to a point where you're putting so many batteries in to do 500 miles, and then you look at the stat that most North Americans don't travel more than 40 miles in a day. So what are you loading up the vehicle with all these batteries and the cost of putting all those batteries and raising the price of the car on top of it? It's diminishing returns. You have to pick a point that makes sense. And with the supercharger network set at about 250 miles or that range, it just makes sense to be at a 300-mile top end when it comes to topping up your battery.
All correct answers. If you want to add more battery, you can, but then it adds weight. Now you need different tires, wheels, brakes, suspension. Now that adds more weight. Got to up it again. You're in a vicious cycle here. And it adds cost, tremendous cost. And if we are cell constrained, which really we are, that means you can make fewer vehicles. GM went with the 200 kilowatt plus hour battery pack solution, and it is a brutal solution. It is an inelegant solution to a problem, but it is a solution. And it just means that GM is not getting serious about volume production because they would if you cannot mass produce a vehicle. Cybertruck has a 123 128 kilowatt hour battery pack and goes, I mean, almost as far as the Silverado with almost twice the battery. So there are compromises. Now here's the better part to the answer. I can say that I want 400 miles of range. You can say it. I've heard lots of people who say it. There are plenty of cars on the market, cars and trucks and SUVs with over 400 miles of range, all pure electric. Why aren't people buying them? The answer is they're really expensive because the battery is the most expensive single element of the vehicle by a lot. So when batteries get cheaper, then let's talk. As energy density improves, that means it won't be adding as much weight. So all of those things can help. But the short answer is people don't want it as much as they say they do. And it leads to all the other compromises. Yeah.
Well said.
So when I say, guys, you can ask anything, there are no stupid questions allowed. What I mean is that that on its surface may sound like a dumb question, but it's a common question, so it's not a dumb question. It's a question people really have, and we have answers to it. I hope they make sense. Guys, head over to the Tesla Life, see what he is up to. Sometimes Rosh moves us around in boxes, so maybe I need to say go up to the Tesla Life or the Tesla Life or the Tesla Life. But wherever he is, when I do that, people are just like, oh no, is he in hell? I don't think so. But we'll find out next week when you tune in to find out. You can subscribe over here. You can subscribe over there. You can show me some support on Patreon, YouTube, X as a channel, patron, member or subscriber respectively. And I do still have, I think, 2 or 3 referrals left to offer up. Save a little pile of cash when you do that and help me on my quest to do other things like charge and have FSD and who knows, maybe upgrade my car at some point. Everybody else, like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when you ask really good questions in the comments below.